Hello, and welcome to the overview of using RACER for constructed responses. Before we get into the RACER graphic organizer, let's talk a little bit about the Keystone Literature Assessment. For the standardized tests under Common Core, students must show that they are good readers. This is key to proving what they have learned after 10 years in school. On tests such as the Keystone Literature Assessment, one way to show what they have learned is through reading and responding to a passage via both multiple choice questions and constructed response questions. It is key to remember that when these tests refer to literature, we are not talking about the traditional English content such as Twain, Shakespeare, or Poe. Literature for these tests refers to any type of writing a student may be expected to read. This includes texts, articles, and technical documents across all curricula. So students who take the Keystone will be reading passages, and they could be from traditional literature, such as Twain or Shakespeare or Poe, but they also might come across an article that they might find in a social studies class or a technical report from a science class. These are the type of literature that the Keystone is looking to make sure that students can read and understand. So not just reading fiction per se, it's reading fiction and nonfiction in all of its different forms. So the constructed responses, this is what we're focusing on today. A constructed response is a type of open-ended essay that demonstrates the two lowest level skills in Bloom's taxonomy: remembering and understanding. Sometimes the answer asks students to analyze as well, but this is usually a very basic analysis without application or evaluation. The constructed response answer must be provided using information that can be found in the given text or other literature devices. You might be given a map, pictures, graphic organizers, etc. with your passage. The constructed response is not meant to demonstrate opinion, but to show an ability to extract information and use this as the basis for forming a complete answer. These are the scoring guidelines for the literature constructed responses. So a student will receive 3 points if their response provides a clear, complete and accurate answer to the task. The response also provides relevant and specific information from the passage. The student will receive 2 points if the response provides a partial answer to the task, and the response provides limited information from the passage and may include inaccuracies. The student will score 1 point if the response provides a minimal answer to the task, or the response provides little or no information from the passage and may include inaccuracies, or the response relates minimally to the task. The student will receive 0 points if the response is totally incorrect or irrelevant and contains insufficient information to demonstrate comprehension. If a student is able to restate a question, provide an answer using cited evidence from the text given, and then explain how the evidence does in fact support the answer, he will probably score well on the constructed response portion of the assessment. But how do we get students to remember all of this? We are smarties. We use our bag of tricks. In this case, the mnemonic RACER can be a tool that you can learn and take with you on exam day. So let's take a look at RACER. RACER basically stands for reword or restate the question, answer all parts of the question, cite evidence from the text, explain how the evidence supports your answer, and then repeat the steps. Reword the question means that students should restate the question and make it into a statement as part of the answer they are providing. Example, if you were to be asked what color is the sky, you would not simply answer blue. Instead, the correct answer would be the color of the sky is blue. Answer all parts of the question. In order to answer the question, students need to understand what they are being asked and then make sure they provide the answer to that specific question. The answer, as in the previous example, may come in the first sentence as they reword the question into a statement, but in a constructed response answer, students need to keep going and show how or why they arrived at their answer. It's important to remember that often a constructive response question is looking for the student to show an understanding of a term in order to answer the question, so they will need to answer all parts of the question. Let's look at this example. How is pollution contributing to the decrease in natural habitats for seabirds? In this answer, the student needs to show that they understand a few different things. First, what type of pollution is the article discussing? Second, what are the natural habitats of these seabirds? And third, how does the pollution act to cause a decrease in those habitats? Most constructive response questions will require students to support their answer with details from the reading passage. This can be done in a few ways, with a direct quotation, with a paraphrase, with a specific reference. Many students want to give their own experiences or opinions. This will lose points. Stick to only what you are given in the text. I do want to add here that I've told my students over and over again, and I think pretty much all of the teachers at the Agora LAC 2 team have done the same. Don't even bother with paraphrasing or with using a specific reference. Use the direct quotations. Learn how to say, in the article it says, or according to the author, this is what's happening. Use a direct quotation. Use the quotation marks. Be as obvious as you can that you are taking quotes from the passage. If you make the reader dig and try to figure out what you're referring to without being very specific, you could lose those points for citing the passage. So just don't even bother paraphrasing or specific reference. Just always use direct quotations, and always use at least 2 direct quotations. You want to find at least 2 to support your answer. The E in RACER is explain the evidence. So now that you've found your quotations and you've used your direct quotations, you also have to go back and explain them. So in addition to the evidence cited in the text, students will need to supply their reasoning for why they think their answer is correct and how the evidence they have chosen supports their answer. Students will often pick a quote but not explain it or relate it to their answer. This is so important. Test graders frown upon this. The last R, the second R in RACER, is repeat. In order to show that you truly have a handle on the question and the text material, you are going to need to repeat all of the steps all over again. Repeat your restatement with a second answer. Find a second quote from the passage that proves your point, and explain how this quote also supports your answer. Okay, so if you look at the RACER altogether, you might see you're going to start off with a restatement, an answer, a citation, one of your direct quotes, and then you explain that direct quote. Then you start all over again. Restatement with an answer, another citation, another explanation of the quote. Here's an example for us to look at. Example, describe the main character from the passage. Student response. The main character from the passage is an angry person because the narrator says she threw the phone into the wall. When someone is angry, they usually release their frustration by damaging things around them, and that is exactly what the main character did with her phone. The main character is also a very impatient person. At the point in the story when she was told she would need to wait her turn, she turned to her best friend and whined about the super long wait. In reality, she only had to wait 5 minutes, which is not a long wait, but her response shows that she has very little patience with these types of situations. So let's check it out, and we'll just look at the first paragraph for a second. Rewording. The main character from the passage is, okay, if you look at the example, okay, here's the question or the prompt. Describe the main character from the passage. Rewording it, the main character is, okay, or the main character from the passage is, and there's our rewording. Here's our answer, an angry person, because, here's our answer, is an angry person because the narrator says, here's our citation, she threw the phone into the wall. This is the part most students skip. If they do not use evidence from the passage, they will not earn a proficient score on the passage. Again, be sure to use those quotation marks, refer back to what the narrator says or wrote. Always use those direct quotation marks. The last part is explaining the evidence. So you can see she threw the phone into the wall. Here the person explains, when someone is angry, they usually release their frustration by damaging things around them, and that is exactly what the main character did with her phone. Now let's look at the second paragraph. Take a second to pause this and look at it and see if you can identify the first 4 steps being repeated in paragraph 2. I don't have an answer key here. So here we have describe the main character from the passage. The main character is also a very impatient person. We have the main character is our restatement. A very impatient person. This is answering the question of describing. We're describing using adjectives like impatient. At the point in the story when she was told she would need to wait her turn, she turned to her best friend and whined about the super long wait. Here's our quotation. Now let's look at the explanation. In reality, she only had to wait 5 minutes, which is not a long wait, but her response shows that she has very little patience with these types of situations. 2 sentences of explanation. Altogether, if you count it up, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences, and this is a 3-point answer. Again, here are the different steps for RACER. Reword or restate the question, answer all parts of the question, cite evidence from the text, explain how the evidence supports your answer, and then repeat your steps again. That's the end of this. If you have any questions, please make sure to contact your local friendly LAC 2 teacher. Have a great day.